The color Moonmist. The paint company Sherwin. This is Hue Review. So let's review. I'm James from the Paint People, and this, of course, is the premier color review show. We're aiming to cover every single major company's paint colors, and there's a lot of them, so we have a lot to get through. This show is all about figuring out a color's vibe, figuring out how versatile it is, which I think is very important, and then finally, I'm gonna give you my verdict on this color, tell you how I would use it, and whether I would use it in my home. Because apparently on YouTube, opinions matter, so I gotta draw a line in the sand. Is it a good color or a bad color? Okay, so let's talk about this vibe. Moonmist has a pretty cool vibe. Quite literally. It is a cool color. If you haven't seen it yet, here it is. It is a blue and a bit of an airy, light, dare I say, sky blue that I think is quite pleasant to look at. And if you've been keeping up with design trends nowadays, 2024 has been very much about blue. Cooler leaning colors in general, which is interesting because before then it was kind of about red and greens. It's blue's time to shine, apparently. But Hue Review isn't necessarily about trends per se. I mean, maybe a little bit, but I guess I do want to touch on the color Upward, which is the Sherwin-Williams color of the year, because the two do have some similarities. Surprisingly, I believe Moonmist is a touch warmer. Even though it is a cool blue, it does have a very slight yellow undertone to it to brighten it up and give it some vibrancy. So it's not going to be one of those grayed out, almost depressing blues. This one does have some life to it, which I think is enjoyable. Its LRV is 68, so it's actually a little bit darker than I expected, although it's still quite a light color. Because if you don't know, the color's light reflectance value is 0 to 100 lightness score. That's kind of how you can think about it. The higher that number is, the more light it reflects. So 68 out of 100, that's pretty good score for lightness. So even though it is a blue, it is a cool color, it does have just that very, very slight warm undertone to it. Okay, so let's talk versatility. The practical element of this paint color, whether you're using it inside or outside, how versatile do I think Moonmist is? On the interior side of things, I would put it at a low mid. I was going to put it at a low, but hear me out. For some reason, based on my experience, I find blue to be a bit of a statement color, no matter what, in interiors. I think it's because it's so far away from a neutral, like grayish or warmer beige color. It's quite the opposite. It's very cold. Cooler colors in general, they can feel sleek and fun, but they don't have that comforting, cozy familiarity that warmer neutrals tend to have. That's just my experience. And I also think that baby blue as a color, it is evocative, whether you like it or not, of cliche nursery colors. I'm sorry, it is. That's kind of the feeling that you get. Of course, if you have a beach house or a coastal design going through your home, then a color like this would be perfect. But for a large number of people, it's going to be a little harder to figure out where to sort of put this color, other than maybe a bathroom, perhaps a bedroom. You could use it in a kitchen as well if you wanted to, but again, blue just has that effect where it can be a bit of a standout color, for good or for bad. It doesn't have that earthy organicness that green has. Good old green, but, I digress. Now, what about on the exterior side of things? I would probably give Moonmist a low versatility. I just think it's a bit too light for a blue if you're going to go with a blue on the outside. And maybe outside of like a colonial style house or something, I just don't necessarily like this color outside. Nothing wrong with it, but I just think there's better options that have more richness, more depth, and more color. If I was going to go with blue, I probably wouldn't go with a pastel, airy, light blue on the outside of my home. And even if you were thinking of using this color, you're probably not going to paint your brick with Moonmist. Maybe your siding, if anything, but for such a easy breezy pastel color, it really doesn't have a lot of versatility in my mind on the exterior side of things. Just my opinion. So what's my verdict? How would I use this color, and would I use it in my home? First of all, let's put it on the Paint People palette pyramid. What kind of color is Moonmist in my mind? Is it a main color that you can use throughout your home? Fat chance. Is it a supporting color that helps bolster the main color? Or is it a finishing color that is more of an accent? And believe it or not, I think I would put Moonmist as a finishing color. I do think it is a very passive accent color. Maybe a nearly neutral because it is kind of light and it is a bit grayed out, to be fair. It's a bit subdued. But because blue forward colors like this, they do tend to just make a little more of a statement than your average neutral. I do think I would use it in accent form for a special room or a special use case, even on a piece piece of furniture or perhaps kitchen cabinets as like a really unusual choice. The only reason I say that is because I'm shopping for a washer and a dryer right now, and apparently it comes in like this beautiful baby blue that we might be going with. A little bit of an inspiration there. Shoutouts to Electrolux. So that's how I would use it. I guess I would paint my washer and dryer with it. But would I? Would I use Moonmist? No. And I really tried to think of an example of how I would use it. I just think baby blue is a tricky one for me. I was thinking maybe in one of the bathrooms, but even then I'm kind of going in a more earthy direction. I love earthy colors. I like being one with the ground, not with the sky, I guess. But maybe you're into Moonmist. So if you want me to include this in the next episode of Palette Pyramids, let me know and I'll make a color palette all for you, because it won't be for me. We also have another video right over here for you. Check it out.